Hey everyone, and welcome back to Stealthy vs. Healthy, the podcast where we uncover the stealthy problems teens face and explore healthy, science-backed strategies to tackle them. Today, we're talking about something that's brandished as a flex, but really shouldn't be: sleep deprivation. Whether it's cramming for exams, scrolling till the sunrise, or just lying awake overthinking, skipping out on sleep feels like the norm. But here's the thing. While burning the midnight oil might seem helpful when you're studying for a test or writing an essay, you're eventually left wondering, is it really worth it? So today, we're diving into the science of why sleep is non-negotiable, how sleep deprivation messes with your body, and most importantly, how to actually get more of it. So grab a pillow and a cozy blanket, and let's get to it. You know that feeling when your alarm goes off and your first thought is, damn, I'd sell my soul to the devil for 5 more minutes? Between late night homework, endless scrolling, and early school start times, sleep often gets sacrificed for teens, leading to situations like this. And here's the scary truth. Your brain just doesn't want sleep. It's literally begging for it. But first, why don't teens get enough sleep? Let's pull back the curtain. Number 1, doom scrolling. Okay, answer honestly. Have you ever told yourself, I'll just check Instagram for 5 more minutes, and suddenly it's 3 a.m., your eyeballs feel like sandpaper, and you're layers deep into Italian brain rot again? If you said no, stop lying. Doom scrolling isn't just a bad habit. It's chemically engineered to addict you. Every like, every notification, every new post triggers a micro hit of dopamine, the same pleasure chemical released during eating, socializing, and even drug use. Teens are especially vulnerable because their brains are hypersensitive to rewards. Social media is designed with variable rewards. Sometimes you find boring stuff. Sometimes you hit gold. This unpredictability traps you in a cycle, like a slot machine you just can't walk away from. This all means the social media algorithms have you hooked like a lab rat pressing a lever for treats. 2. Early school start times. Most high schools in the US start at or before 8 a.m., which is essentially torture for teenage brains. Why? Thanks to shifting circadian rhythms in adolescence, melatonin doesn't kick in until 11 p.m. or later for most teens, meaning a 7 a.m. alarm clock is like forcing an adult to function at 4 a.m. Research proves later start times boost test scores by 12% and slash depression rates, yet 93% of US high schools still ignore the science. The result? A gang of sleep-deprived students flooded with cortisol before first period even starts. And while Saturday sleep-in might feel like a redemption after a week of exhaustion at school, the harsh reality is that the brain doesn't actually store sleep. When you disrupt your sleep schedule by sleeping late on weekends, you're essentially giving yourself permanent jet lag. Your circadian rhythm, the internal clock that regulates your sleep, gets completely confused, which actually makes you want to sleep more when you're not supposed to, and not sleep when you are supposed to. Also, check out my episode about caffeine to see how it inhibits adenosine and harms your sleep schedule as well. Fun fact, sleep-deprived teens drive like they're legally drunk. A study by the American Automobile Association, or AAA, found that teens who sleep less than 6 hours a night have driving impairment equivalent to a blood alcohol content of 0.08%, which is the legal limit for driving under the influence in most states. Your exhausted brain misses 50% more road hazards and has slower reaction times than a sober adult, which explains why 20% of teen car crashes involve drowsy driving. So that 8 a.m. drive to school after an all-nighter? You might as well be doing it with a beer in your cup holder. Please don't drive with a beer in your cup holder. Okay, so we went over some of the basic consequences of not sleeping enough. So let's go more in depth about why sleep is non-negotiable. Sleep deprivation has become so normalized among teenagers that many don't even realize they're just operating in a constant state of deficit. Biologically, the effects are far more severe than just feeling tired. When you constantly miss out on sleep, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for making rational decision-making, impulse control, and problem-solving, essentially starts shutting down. This shows why sleep-deprived teens are more likely to make reckless choices. Sleep deprivation also affects the parietal lobe, which is associated with sensory perception, and the cerebellum, which is associated with reaction time. At the same time, the amygdala, which processes emotions, goes into overdrive, turning minor stressors into an overwhelming crisis. If you're cranky after an all-nighter, probably the amygdala. If you're feeling weirdly angry at small inconveniences, probably your amygdala. If you're feeling irrationally jealous or insecure, probably your amygdala. This means you're more impulsive and more emotionally volatile at the same time, which is a very dangerous combination. Meanwhile, your brain struggles to consolidate memories, making it harder to retain information, which is especially problematic for students. Your brain loses its ability to consolidate memory, so you forget 40% of what you learned the day before. Problem solving skills also drop by 30%. Creativity flatlines. Essentially, pulling an all-nighter to study is counterproductive because your sleep-deprived brain probably won't store what you're trying to learn effectively. The social consequences of sleep deprivation are just as damaging. Mood swings become much more extreme, leaving you either irritable, overly sensitive, or emotionally numb, none of which make for great social interactions. Exhaustion also dulls your ability to read social cues, which leads to awkward misunderstandings, unintentional rudeness, or just zoning out in the middle of a conversation. Friends might joke about you being a zombie, but the reality is that chronic sleep loss makes you a less engaged, less enjoyable person to be around. Even worse, the fake awake act, nodding along while your brain is barely functioning, doesn't really fool anyone. Over time, sleep deprivation can worsen relationships, make socializing feel like a chore, and even contribute to feelings of isolation and depression. Fun fact, lack of sleep is actually linked to certain types of cancer. Studies show that individuals who sleep less than 6 hours a night may have a higher risk of developing breast, prostate, and colon cancer. As a result of these studies, the World Health Organization, specifically the International Agency for Research on Cancer, has classified night shift work as a Group 2A carcinogen, which is the same category as materials like lead and plutonium. Now, before you guys start saying, Mahesh, I bet you've never taken an AP class in your life. I bet you don't do anything outside of school. It's entirely possible to manage AP classes, extracurriculars, hangouts with friends, and that secret Instagram addiction you swear you don't have, while still getting an appropriate amount of sleep each night. Let's break down some of the strategies that help you get enough sleep. Number 1, gradually resetting your schedule. Trying to suddenly switch from your current 3 a.m. bedtime to a reasonable 10 or 10:30 is biologically next to impossible and will leave you very frustrated the next day. The suprachiasmatic nucleus can safely adjust your circadian rhythm only about 15 to 30 minutes per day. Start by moving your bedtime just 15 to 30 minutes earlier every 3 to 4 days. The key is consistency. Wake up at the same time every single day, even on weekends. Yes, sleeping in on Saturday feels amazing, but social jet lag is why Sunday night insomnia exists. To further optimize the process, use light strategically. Get bright sunlight within 30 minutes of waking up, even if it's just standing by a window, and start dimming artificial lights by 9 p.m. Number 2, break the caffeine cycle. You can't expect to fix your sleep while simultaneously flooding your bloodstream with stimulants. Caffeine has a half-life of about 5 to 6 hours, meaning that 3 p.m. Celsius still has half its potency in your system at around 9 p.m. The solution isn't necessarily quitting cold turkey. Instead, implement a strict caffeine curfew. Nothing after 2 p.m. Gradually reduce your daily intake of caffeine by mixing regular and decaf or slowly decreasing the number of servings you take in a day. Replace afternoon caffeine fixes with alternatives like matcha or simply move your body. A 10-minute walk often provides better energy than caffeine, only without the sleep disruption. Check out my episode on caffeine for a more detailed explanation. Number 3, control screen time before bed. The problem with screen time is twofold. Number 1, the stimulating content keeps your mind engaged, and number 2, the blue light emitted directly suppresses melatonin production by tricking your brain into thinking it's daytime. Research shows that just 2 hours of screen time before bed can delay melatonin onset by about 90 minutes. The most effective solution is implementing a digital sunset. No screens for at least 60 minutes before target bedtime. If completely ditching devices an hour before bed feels impossible, enable grayscale mode and red light filters. Better yet, replace some of that late night scrolling with low light activities that don't overstimulate your brain, like reading a physical book, listening to podcasts, or having conversations with family members. Remember, every minute of late night screen time is essentially stealing from tomorrow's energy. Number 4, optimize your sleep environment. Let's be honest, your bedroom kind of has an identity crisis. By day, it's a home office, movie theater, and snack haven all in one. It can't magically transform into a sleep haven come nightfall. The first rule of sleeping is that your bed should be for one thing and one thing only: sleep. Start with the temperature of your room. Your body needs to drop its core temperature to fall asleep, yet you're probably roasting under a pile of blankets. The optimal range is around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 degrees to 20 degrees Celsius, which means turning down the thermostat or at least kicking off some covers. If you feel comfortable any other way, just pretend I didn't say anything. Next, darkness. Even tiny LED lights from chargers, gaming consoles, or your phone can disrupt melatonin production, so invest in blackout curtains or a sleep mask. Noise is also a stealthy sleep thief. If you can't control your environment, try white noise or the sounds of the ocean, rain, or just anything to drown out your siblings snoring. Now, just because I said all this, you shouldn't neglect work that's absolutely necessary. All-nighters are alright every once in a while if you actually do have something urgent to complete. The point of this is to make sleep better, not to turn your life into a complete wellness retreat. If you're currently running on 4 hours of sleep, 3 cans of Monster, and an out-of-control amygdala, even one small change, like charging your phone outside your room or cutting off caffeine after 2 p.m., can make a noticeable difference. And if all else fails, remember, y'all are teens, y'all definitely deserve naps much more than kindergartners. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with that one friend who's never seen without bags under their eyes. And don't forget to follow so you don't miss our next episode. Until then, stay awake, stay well rested, and I'll catch you next time.